Hey guys, it's Jasmin, and a lot of you have been asking me to answer the question of if I'm still feeding my cats raw food, which I thought was a very interesting inquiry and one that I guess we will discuss in this video. But first, we're going to do our cat tarot reading of the video because might as well keep you guys in a little bit of suspense before we get started talking about this. If you don't know how this works, we are going to pick a card, a random old card, and this is something I got as a gift. It's awesome. I loved it. And I'll put a link for it in the description below because it was off of Amazon. But you can choose to take this card and apply it to something maybe that's resonating in your life. If you have any stuff happening or going on, if you have any questions that need to be answered, or it could just be considered the card of the day and we can just apply it to the day of today, whenever this video comes out. So without any further ado, let's pick the card, and that would be, oh, what is this? Oh, look at how cute that is. This one would be the 9 of Wands, and we got it upright like this. I will go ahead and read what this means for us today. The 9 of Wands, no matter how worn down you may already feel, it might be time for you to guard your own territory carefully. Upright, which is what we got, says, you're safe. You have a nice, sturdy wall of protection around you. That said, it's not time for complacency. It's time for courage, persistence, and great strength. You're close to having everything you want, but remain on the lookout. I like that one. So yeah, 9 of Wands. That is our card of the day today. Okay, so do I still feed my cats raw food? And I'm guessing that is meant to be applied to Puppy and Alfred. And if you're new here, I have 2 cats, Puppy and Alfred, who are not related whatsoever. And they have both been on a raw cat food diet since I've had them. Puppy, I would say I started him on it maybe a couple of months after I adopted him 6 years ago, I think it was. And Alfred was just raw food from the get-go because Alfred just came into this family almost 2 years ago now. So he's still, it feels like he's been here forever, but he's still a fairly new addition to the family. Now, I think that this question has come up more and more recently because we had an impromptu foster situation where, again, if you're new here, you might want to go back a few videos, but this backyard cat who is just a feral cat in the neighborhood, long story short, basically claimed me earlier this year, and I was kind of feeding her on and off, and then one day she just randomly brought me her 3 kittens, and I ended up taking care of those 3 kittens and her. And 2 were adopted out to a great friend of mine, and Betty and 1 kitten named Ronan still happen to be here. They've been here since, I think June or May or June. Basically a really, really long time. He's barely a kitten anymore. He's basically the same size as her, and they've just been living it up all bougie like in the house right now. They want nothing to do with the outside, so that's where we are. And I believe that this question about if I feed my cats raw food has come up because I kind of am taking care of 4 cats right now. And if you make raw food, which I do, it's homemade raw food, it's not store-bought, then you know it's pretty tedious. It takes quite a bit of time. You do end up saving money compared to if you were to buy raw cat food, definitely. But even if you were to buy a high quality, wet canned, high protein, grain free food, you still save a good bit of money. And I have over 200 videos about everything from how much it costs to different recipes for raw cat food, for all kinds of stuff, way too much to name. So if you want to see those videos, just go to catladyfitness.com/videos, which basically takes you to the cat stuff playlist, which you can find here on YouTube. But to quickly answer the question, because you're probably like, just get to it. Here's a picture of my grocery cart from yesterday. And when I tell you I don't eat meat, then that should probably answer the question to if I am still feeding my cats raw food and whether I'm feeding Betty and Ronan raw food. Clearly, the answer is yes. and it has required double the time, or I should say pretty much double the amount, since it's 2 more cats in addition to the 2 that were already eating it. So I do feed all of the cats. Of course I do. Raw food still. Betty and Ronan, at first, I was giving a high quality canned food, but then it just didn't make sense because I would put all of the plates out and everybody would eat from each other's plates anyway. And Ronan, actually, I've kind of been giving him raw cat food since he came here. He was like 5 or 6 weeks old when Betty brought them here. And once the kittens weaned off of her and started eating, at first I gave them a high quality kitten food, but I would kind of, test the waters and give them raw food every now and then. And I have a video about this as well, about kittens and raw cat food. Like I said, there are tons of videos on there, so I'm not even going to link them individually below. But he did take to it quite quickly, and especially when it was more ground as opposed to chunky, which some cats have a preference. For example, right now, Puppy is more in favor of chunky raw cat food, and I'm actually doing a little bit of an experiment, which will hopefully result in me sharing a new recipe for raw cat food specifically for cats who are highly allergenic. Ronan, come over here. So I want to give this at least a couple of months, at least 2 or 3 batches of food, which I'm giving Puppy a different kind of mix of raw cat food than the other cats, which are basically eating the exact same recipe that I shared with you guys in the first video, and that you can find on catladyfitness.com in the recipe page for my diet. But this recipe with Puppy, stand by, because if you have a cat who is also highly allergic to pollen and environmental things or seasonal allergies similar to humans, you know how heartbreaking it can be. You definitely want to do the best you can to avoid your cat regularly being on any kind of steroids, which oftentimes, when they have that kind of inflammatory response, that's sort of the default that vets will go to. I personally do my best to avoid Puppy having to take anything, or, even the topical flea preventatives actually cause a reaction in his skin because it is so sensitive, and he will lose hair if I apply that stuff to the back of his neck. So it is challenging, but I've been working on it, and I'm staying really positive because I look at everything that goes on and everything that I have to thoroughly research and kind of test out on him and do to help alleviate him of this discomfort. I see it as a potential resource for you guys, because if it works out, then I'm so excited to share, because that hopefully will help somebody else who's struggling with the same thing with their poor, highly allergenic cat. So anyway, that's what's going on when it comes to Puppy's raw food diet. And yeah, Alfred, Betty, and Ronan are eating, typically it's chicken thighs. I made a 50-50 mix of chicken thighs and turkey thighs, always antibiotic free, organic if I can find it. As for anything else different with the raw cat food, not really. I'm doing it the same as I have in a very long time. I'm probably making it about every, I would say, 12 to 16 days, depending on how long a batch lasts, which is kind of, that hasn't changed surprisingly in how often I've been making it since I've gotten Alfred. When it was just Puppy, when it was just one cat, it was so easy. I made it once a month, and I made a double batch, which lasted him a month. And then when I got Alfred, the double batch lasted 2 weeks because there was another cat. And now I basically get around 10 pounds of meat or protein usually, put it in the calculator, and that's what lasts anywhere from usually around 2 weeks, give or take a couple days, for all of the cats. But now it's slightly different since I made 2 batches, decided to make it harder on myself. But, it's for the better good of Puppy, and I was really, really wanting to see if this would help him with his skin issues and things. Now, I do have wet canned food always on hand, just in case maybe I don't get to the store fast enough when I'm running out of food, or they happen to be out of chicken thighs, which hasn't happened. I don't know if that's happened ever, but sometimes I have to search around for the hearts. Rarely, since my local store has actually started carrying chicken hearts, I requested it and they just started carrying it. So for those who have a hard time finding hearts, sometimes it's just a matter of requesting it at your grocery store. So having a couple of cans of high quality cat food is always a good idea. And I'm going to have a video coming out about that. And I think if you guys want to see me make a video, if you simply can't afford to make raw cat food, or what I would do if for some reason I couldn't make them the full raw cat food with proper ratios of meat and supplements and all that. If you guys want to see what I would feed them or what I would do if I was really tight for money, but also wanted to continue feeding my cats the best diet that I possibly could, I'd be happy to make a video about that. And I was thinking about doing it anyway, but let me know in the comments. But yeah, I got really excited when I realized that Ronan just has a taste for this raw cat food and he loves it. And he's eaten it basically since he started eating, give or take sometimes the canned food. But that really doesn't seem to sway his appetite away from wanting the raw cat food. A lot of it might also be because he is a kitten still. I think he's like 7 months now. Wow, maybe 6 or 7 months. And he's still growing and they eat more frequently. But overall, we have a pretty good system going here. I have a list of videos coming up from everything about seafood or fish in raw cat food to the strategy and the protocol that I gave to Puppy in order to help him lower his liver value numbers by like 300 or 400 on the scale. I'll talk more about that. That's way back when he got his emergency eye surgery. Keep in mind, I'm not a vet. I'm not a vet technician. I am a cat mama and cat owner who just does the best that I can as an obsessive independent researcher as well. And as somebody who does know a lot about nutrition and wellness and health for humans, since that's kind of my day job. But I only hope that the information and the videos and the content I share when it comes to this kind of stuff can help somebody else out there with the health of their feline fur baby, because we love them so much. So yeah, there's a lot coming. But all that being said, to summarize for this video, yes, these kitties still eat their raw cat food and they are thriving and they're doing amazing. And Betty and Ronan are living a very spoiled life along with Puppy and Alfred. Oh, and since I feel like somebody's going to ask this question, if Pickle and Blue, who are the other 2 kittens that were taken home and living their best life with one of my very, very good best friends, if they're eating raw cat food, the answer is no, they're not. But they are getting a really high quality canned food that their human dad has looked up and gives to them. And I believe he does also give them some dry food during the day, which, you guys know how I feel about dry kibble and all that stuff. And that reminds me, by the way, I want to give a big thank you and meow out to Wopet, who is the company, if you recall, I got one of their pet camera treat dispensers. That's amazing. I use it whenever I leave the house to check in with my cats. I bought it as a gift for like 3 people. I'll leave a link for that video in the description below. But they also ended up sending me this dry food treat dispenser with all of these features. It's a good size, but you put dry kibble in it and you can schedule when it comes out. You can even put your voice behind it so that when the food releases, you say like, hey, everybody, your food's coming out. There's just so many features to it. And they sent it to me, but you guys know I don't feed my cats dry kibble at all. I feed them meal times with the raw cat food. So I ended up gifting this to a friend of mine who has 4 dogs and who sometimes, him and his partner, they work all day. So they have days where they're not home all day. And so I gifted it to them and they love it and they're raving about it. So I want to say thank you to Wopet. I'm sorry I couldn't use it, on a first person sense on my channel because I'm not about the dry kibble. And so I would have no use for something like this, but it is really awesome for people with dogs or that's the only animal I could think of where you might use something like this when you're away working all day and to have your voice actually say like, come on, get your food. They love it. They said it's amazing. This one doesn't have a camera, but it still does its job. So thank you to WoPet, and I will link that dispenser thing in the description below. All that being said, if you found this video interesting or helpful, or you're just happy to hear I'm still feeding my cats and now 2 additional kitties raw cat food, please give this video a thumbs up by clicking the thumbs up below, because that'll really help us out. If you're new here and not yet a part of the Cat Lady Fitness family and watching this on YouTube, make sure to subscribe and click the little bell icon, because I do put out videos like this, as well as a lot to do with raw cat food, feline nutrition, kitty care, and things for humans like stress management tips and recipes and random whatever I feel like posting. And of course, I'm going to talk about the coolest cat coloring book for humans of all ages. If you didn't know, this is our book. Puppy was the main author, and it just came out last week, and I cannot believe it got up to number 47, 49, and 50 in 3 different categories. And you guys, there's over 48.5 million print books on Amazon. So thank you so much to everybody who has purchased it or purchased multiple. I've been hearing so many good things, and I'm so happy that you love it, because I'm so proud of it. And I'm sure you're going to love coloring it. And please make sure to leave a review on Amazon if you did grab one. All right, guys, this video is way longer than I expected for it to be. Yes, the cats still eat raw cat food. Yes, I have a ton more content coming up about raw cat food and all other kitty and human things. Thank you so much for watching, as always, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!